Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with masterpieces that have flaws, or flawed masterpieces, but we love them anyway. And today we're talking about Bach's B minor Mass. Oh my, let lightning strike me dead now. Yes, even the great Bach had his weaknesses and his flaws. And it's only natural because there is no such thing as perfection, not even coming from Bach. And he probably would have been the first person to admit that, because he was nothing if not aware of human weakness and frailty. He spent a lot of time writing about human weakness and frailty and the consequences of human weakness and frailty. Now, the B minor Mass is, of course, a glorious piece, a monument in Western culture, a piece of divinely inspired magniloquence. I mean, whatever you want to call it. It's great. It's terrific. Absolutely terrific. But it does have at least one, and really more than one, actually. But we'll just talk about one. Maybe we'll come back and do a series of flaws in the B minor Mass. Oh, that'll really get people hopping, won't it? No, here's the thing. The weakness is the last chorus, which is really anticlimactic because it's the same music as the Gratias. The Dona Nobis Pacem is the same music as the Gratias. Now, it can be performed in such a way as to be absolutely cosmic and transcendental. None of the weaknesses I describe are totally beyond concealing by means of a performance of genius. That is one of the great things about this topic. But it takes a performance of genius. And why does that take that? Well, because the Dona Nobis Pacem is the same music as we've already heard in the Gratias. Gratias agimus tibi. And it's not even the best or most interesting chorus in the work. It really isn't. I mean, there's a lot of more exciting stuff going on in the Gloria and the Credo. The truth of the matter is that the B minor Mass was cobbled together, as we all know, from pre-existing music almost entirely. There's very little new stuff in it. And, it's interesting to speculate as to why Bach didn't bother to write something new to round the piece off. He was not doctrinally required to do anything because, of course, the B minor Mass is not a liturgical Lutheran Mass. It's a missa tota. It's a complete Mass, but it's also not a liturgical Catholic Mass. It's a collection of Bach's greatest vocal movements, or assembled by him with the evident intention of compiling his greatest vocal movements and calling it a Mass, because those were the words which should assure the survival of the music. Because remember, in those days, the guy spent his whole life writing cantatas that were wrapped up in people's lunches and thrown away every weekend. The music had no value. And even great music, if it was even recognized as such, had no permanence. The only music that had permanence was music set to liturgical text, because the words had permanence. They were the words that spoke of the eternal truth of the gospel. And if you set that to music and did it well, there was a chance that people might preserve it for that reason. And so that was Bach's evident intention. So it might just be that by the time he got to the Dona Nobis Pacem, he'd run out of stuff to stuff into the B minor Mass. He just felt it wasn't necessary to add anything else. The piece does become, more patchy as it goes. You have these glorious, gigantic cyclical movements, the Gloria, the Credo, those things that all sort of cohere as a unity. Then you have the Sanctus, which is an independent piece because they're all in different parts. You've got the Hosanna, and then the Benedictus and the Agnus Dei and Dona, and they're all somewhat individual and attachments, almost appendices to the big, huge central pillars of the piece. Now, you may not feel that way, but a lot of Bach scholars did. There are Bach scholars who object to calling it the Mass in B minor. They think you should call it the Kyrie, Gloria, Credo, Sanctus, Benedictus, and Agnus, because there's no relationship between the various parts. And there's been some scholarship dedicated to proving that. I don't know why you'd want to prove that. I think that's ridiculous. It's a B minor mass. I mean, it's perfectly fine, with me. But that concluding chorus is simply a repetition of what's come before. And what we have come to expect as we hear the B minor mass is one screaming, shattering, flaming masterpiece of chorus, aria, whatever, after another. A constant stream of originality and limitless inspiration. And let's not kid ourselves. That Dona Nobis Pacem just ain't it. Now, it may make you feel good when it's over. It may satisfy you as a conclusion to the Mass. All of those things are possible. But it's a weakness. It's a frailty. It's evidence of human, human whatever, human not perfectedness, whatever. Maybe Bach intended it that way. You never know. You can't know. All we know is what he did. And considering how many fabulous choruses he wrote and what he could have done and what we know he could have done, I think that it's very difficult to make the case that the piece ends in the most powerful and convincing way. And that's my opinion about it, and I'm sticking to it. I don't think there's much can be said to the contrary, although I expect some people to try, nonetheless. And that's part of the fun of this particular game. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.